I believe the people would like to see this tweet. Can you guys see that tweet? Can you guys see what it says?
Yes, they
can. Can we see the date that tweet was? May 7th, May 7th, 2022. Yeah. So we can see that Lowe had called Giannis the best player in the world. Can we see
last
that?
Year?
Wait. Can we see that on March 11th of 2023, Legend of Winning post a Jokic fan and an Embiid fan arguing about who's the best player in the world? Do they know with a picture of Giannis? Do we know what that means? I believe that would imply that Giannis is the best player in the world.
That was you're implying. How about you ask?
I believe. How about you ask one more from 2022 again? Start Giannis, bench Jokic, cut Embiid, and it really isn't even a convo.
Oh damn! Okay, that's bad.
So I just want to.
Where is that from? No. They didn't tell you the date, chat.
Oh, July of 2022. It says it right there. July of 2022.
That was last year.
We have July of 2022. We have May of 2022, and we have March of 2023. All of which you have said Giannis is the best player in the world. So
and
now,
it's not even close.
Lo, while you are here, I would like you to say that you have been saying it's interchangeable the whole time.
What? Say it again.
You said you've been saying it's interchangeable the whole season. That's what you've been saying. So I would like you to say, even though there is tweets clearly saying, do they know?
July 20
in March of 2023, you said, do they know in regards to the best player in the world combo with a picture of Giannis? That was in March. That's 3 months ago. So I would like you to explain how you can say it's interchangeable the whole year.
Yes, it was interchangeable.
So what's going on here?
Nah, there's something going on. Something's going on.
I love just ignoring what happens. I
love how they're not going to show you all the tweet where I specifically said that Giannis might not be a top 5 player anymore because he can't make anything outside of 5 feet.
Oh, that tweet where you said Kevin Durant was a top 5 player. That tweet.
Yeah.
The tweet where you said KD was top 3.
Yes.
But then you wanted to say that KD was never in the top 3.
No, I said he never was an MVP.
Oh, but then in the group chat yesterday, you said KD was in your top 5 MVP candidates in December.
When?
Stop. Am I making these things up?
No, this is nuts.
Let's go to this.
This is bad, man. I might take off my glasses. I can't be a low clone anymore, bro.
If you're fifth in the MVP race, are you really an MVP candidate?
You told me
you were caping for KD being an MVP candidate for a while.
Fifth,
even on this show. Fifth. This man Lowe is such a
this is the tweet. This is the tweet that Lowe's referring to, by the way, in December. So less recently than the March tweet. Not going to lie, Giannis may not be top 3 anymore. KD, Jokic, and Luka. So no Steph, by the way. KD, Jokic, and Luka are playing out of their minds, and Giannis can't make any shots outside of 5 feet from. Because you said Steph was in your top 3 interchangeable.
Wasn't Steph hurt though?
Well, so it was top 3 at this time. So nothing to do with the point that you've been making where they've been interchangeable the whole time.
But if I'm I want to be clear. If I'm willing to change it.
Oh, but you forgot Jason Tatum at least.
Yeah,
as mentioned, you forgot Jason Tatum. So okay, interesting.
If I'm talking about the alterations of players on a month-to-month basis, does that not then imply that it is interchangeable?
So why is KD? Yeah. Why is KD no longer?
You said no. Because that
wouldn't explain why Luka and KD are over Giannis. That wouldn't
KD then got hurt, and then KD missed like a.
So the only reason KD is not interchangeable with Giannis is because he got hurt.
And you're not
during the regular season, yes, and then he went to the postseason and he performed poorly in the postseason.
Where do you rank Kawhi Leonard? Don't you rank Kawhi Leonard very high?
No, the list will have Kawhi Leonard is a if they're healthy. But no, every single time I made a top 10 list throughout the season, I never included Kawhi.
You put KD very low still.
If they're healthy, then I have to also implement Kawhi. I also have to implement a healthy LeBron. I have to implement other players that normally wouldn't be there because, as y'all know, I didn't have LeBron like top 5 at all this entire season. But if he's healthy, I would believe he would be a top 5 player.
So your top 3, the interchangeable top 3.
He wasn't what, Dog?
Go ahead, Mars.
So the top three that you have is a power ranking. It's not the three best players in the world. It's who's playing the best at this time.
That's why it's interchangeable, Mars.
Oh, okay. So even though Steph was at no point was ever mentioned because he was hurt, but he was never mentioned. But you wanted to say yesterday that the whole time you've been saying it's interchangeable between those three. But there's no evidence of you saying. How can
I say Steph when he's been hurt? When he was hurt.
So then how can you tell me and everyone else that the whole year you've been saying it's interchangeable between Giannis, Jokic, and Steph when now you're saying it can't have been Steph because he was hurt? So which one is it? Was he interchangeable with those two?
Okay, I'm sorry, Chad, to let people know. When Steph was hurt, it wasn't interchangeable, guys, because he's hurt. You know, I'm sorry. I didn't think I had to explain it, but between December,
well, for me, and anyone with a brain, I don't just assume Steph Curry no longer is a top 3 player because he's missing time.
But if I'm not saying it anytime, if I'm not speaking about him within his time frame, and if I can't, you know what I'm saying, like, of course he wouldn't be there if between December 14th to March 5th. Steph played less than 15 games. How would I be able to put him in the conversation?
This tweet was made in December 29th.
I said December. I said December 14th, right?
You said between December 14th and March, but we're not talking about March. We're talking about December.
I know, but I am talking about
Steph got hurt December 14th, so he just got out of top 3 in 2 weeks.
Oh, well, also, I don't think that Steph wasn't as good as defensively as he was throughout the remainder of the year, though.
Okay, so like I said, so the whole year Steph wasn't part of this top 3 interchangeable. He became top 3 interchangeable once he came back from his
when he became a noticeably better defender. Yes.
So in around January when he came back, that's when he became part of the top 3.
Because
so the whole year Steph wasn't part of the interchangeable top 3.
Oh yes, Mars. Yes, technically speaking, he wasn't.
No, not technically. Like you have said.
No, for sure.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie,
and Giannis in March when you said he was the best player in the world, just that meant nothing, or you was trolling, or because it wasn't explicit, it was left up for interpretation.
No, in March. Let's remember what happened in March, because in the beginning part of the season, the reason why I said he might not be top 3 is because he was struggling, he couldn't hit anything out, and he was also not making his shots. It could have been implied that he was also hurt at that time because people didn't know. And then he had a stretch where it seemed like he was healthy. He was the healthiest probably part of the stretch his entire season. And then he looked similar back to what he once was. So I was like, all right, so cool. If he's healthy and this is what he looks like when he's healthy, and also when Chris Middleton is there and there's another actual shot creator, this is what he looks like. Oh no, I can go back to easy saying that he is the best player in the world, because then the numbers would then, especially his shooting numbers, would then show that he is indeed back to the player that I thought he once was a year or two ago.
So when Real Talk said that you were still calling Giannis the best player in the world this year and you denied it, would you?
I never denied that. I never denied
that. Dub, am I making these things up?
No, I did not.
When Real Talk was telling Low that he was still calling Giannis the best player in the world this year, not interchangeable, the best player in the world this year, and I brought up evidence of him doing so, but he denied it, and now Low's saying he never denied that.
Oh no, you were denying it. You were denying it.
I was denying the definitive part. That's the part I denied.
Oh my!
Matter of fact, I actually vividly remember referencing a time where Ticket was asking Mars and I who was the best player, and then we both said I don't know, and then we were forced to give an answer, and I gave Giannis.
I'm not gonna lie, you denied a lot, like last year saying it was interchangeable between Giannis and Jokic. While with the receipts and even the if you go back to watch episodes back, what he was never in these conversations. So I don't know if I could believe you in what you're saying now, bro. I'm gonna just call cap for what it is, man.
I want to ask chat. Was that not bigging up Jokic all season long? Am I bugging?
I'm not gonna lie. The whole chat knows you're cooked. So I'm not gonna lie.
We know, like, you know, that's why I took my glasses off. I can't be low on
chat. Was that not bigging up Jokic all season long?
You were bigging up Jokic, but you were also saying
the legend of lies.
I was pushing Jokic propaganda before Low was.
You could have.
I remember in the off-season last year on Players' Choice, I was pushing, somewhat trolling, Jokic best player in the world propaganda.
Somewhat. I love how you put the somewhat trolling there, so you can kind of save yourself a little bit.
But I've admitted, because I don't need to. I've admitted I had winning bias for Giannis and was saying he was by far the best player in the world, and then I came to my senses and was like, this guy wasn't by far the best player in the world. I was wrong. Yeah. I don't think now looking back on it, I don't think he was the best player in the world by far, and I was wrong to say that. You, however, seem to just be denying everything you've ever said.
Again,
Which
if it's
Mars,
I want chat to
I still think it's interchangeable between Jokic, Giannis, and Steph. And I've genuinely thought that for months. And I've admitted I thought that for months.
You know what's crazy?
But Mars, the thing is, Mars wouldn't lie and be like last season. He didn't.
Yeah, because I was there in 2022. I was the one saying Giannis is the best player in the world. It's not particularly.
And who was standing next to you? Who was standing next to you?
The guy who I'm the merchant of. Right there. and I've since admitted that I was wrong to say Giannis is by far the best player in the world. And I've looked back on it, I was like, yeah, he was never by far the best player in the world because he did have those flaws, and I was living in denial because he won a championship. I've grown up. I went from 7 years old to 8 years old, and now I'm mature. But you as a 30-year-old man,
it seems like I'm rubbing off you a little bit, man. I'm happy that my maturity.
Oh,
I thought, are we saying pause? Oh, I thought.
I just said
no. KB said K. No. KB said pause.
Instinct.
Instinct. Whoa, that's your instinct. Yo, this is the point I'm making. It seems as if like I'm rubbing off on you, Mars. You're learning from me not to have winning bias. That's great, man. Because I've been trying. Because again,
I changed my mind on that long before.
Chat. I want you all to recognize what they showed you in the tweet. My assessment on Giannis. My assessment on Giannis not being top 3 anymore wasn't because they weren't winning or losing. If I'm not mistaken, at that time they were at the top of the conference. It was because he couldn't hit a shot outside of 3 to 5 feet. That's why.
My question.
That's what I specifically said. That has nothing to do with winning. That has everything to do with who he was as a player. Also, if it was winning bias, why would I have Luka up there? Where was Luka at that stage of the season? Because it certainly wasn't.
I think they're
he
like
was in the middle of the pack. He was in the middle of the pack.
No, okay, but it wasn't a top. Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Top 3.
So if it's winning bias, why would I say those things about those players who weren't winning as much as Giannis? I was willing to take Giannis outside my top 3, even though his team would have had a better record than Luka's team. So that's not winning bias.
All right, that's fine. But let me ask you this, Lo. Don't you think that somebody could just be having a down year? Because maybe Giannis this season.
But it could be with Giannis. It could be potentially the other way. Maybe 2022 or 21, whatever the year that was. That might have been. That might have just been an outlier season. Though.
But the thing is, hold on, Mars. Let me say this because the thing is with Giannis, and I'll double check this. He hasn't shot like this ever since the year 2018, 2019, one of those 2 seasons. So if it was that long,
shot this bad,
yeah, this bad. I think this is the worst.
Oh yeah, I know. But I also just acknowledge that when he had those lulls, he was just hurt, because I acknowledged that there was a stretch where he looked his healthiest, and that's what he looked like, and I was much more willing to accept that maybe that's who he actually is as a player.
And that was coincidentally around the time that Milwaukee was on their 16-game winning streak.
Okay.
Yes. Oh my God.
Coincidentally, that's not winning bias. It's just coincidentally that seemed to happen around the same time.
This is bad.
Am I? If I'm
just asking.
I don't. It might have been. I don't.
What's
really...
the date? What's the date again? What was the date?
He made that tweet on March 11th, and that was about a week after their 16-game win streak.
All I know is that Giannis undeniably looks better than what he was looking in the beginning part of the season. And it wasn't even close. He was looking like a better player. That shouldn't even be up for debate.
Okay, so once again,
if Giannis
was the best in March and we are now in June, what has changed of Giannis's game?
His mid-range and post has regressed tremendously.
Giannis hasn't been able to shoot his whole life.
Nah, 2022 he had a good.
I just said regressed. I didn't say.
I
never said he was elite.
My question to you: if we knew,
I don't think
we knew Giannis's flaws,
I think defensively, I think this is not one of his better years either. I just don't.
I agree.
Okay.
Actually, let me ask this.
So you agree with me? All right, cool. Mars,
but I've admitted I've made my U-turn a long time ago. I agree. I saw the light. I want to ask you this question.
But this year defensively is worse than last year, in my opinion. But go ahead.
That's cool. So this new question: Giannis, when he was the best player in the world, by a wide margin to you in 2022. If that Giannis was in
wide margin mean 20?
Yeah, where you said no, in 2022 when you said start Giannis, bench Jokic, cut Embiid, and it's not close. 2022 when you said that.
It was really. I'm saying that because of Embiid. I don't know why y'all think that.
That's cool. So that Giannis, put him in the NBA this year in 2023. Is he still the best player in the world? or is it interchangeable?
I think you would say he's the best player in the world.
I would say that. Yeah, I would say he is.
Okay, so Giannis, the only reason he's not the best player in the world is because his jump shot regressed this year,
And
whether or not
whether
or not that's who he was, or because he was suffering from an injury, or because he just had a down year, we don't know.
Yeah,
but don't you think
if Giannis mid-range jump shot gets back to where it was, and his defense is back to where it was, you're no longer.
Oh yes, he would be the best. He'd be the best player in the league.
Okay.
So what my whole question is, why don't you just stand on that as if understanding, acknowledging, you know what, a big portion of that reasoning is probably because he's injured or just having a down season. So I would still say he's still the best player.
I just said that. I just said I was willing to give him the benefit of doubt in the beginning of the season.
He's still like the best player in the world.
You think right now he's still injured?
If
he was hurt in the playoffs,
I'm about to say that's why I'm willing. If somebody wants to say Giannis is, then I'm fine with that.
But the thing is, no. The thing is, because this is where your Jokic agenda comes in and skews your opinion. The thing is, if last season, which you said verbatim, well, if you feeling this way about Jokic this season, you just wasn't watching basketball for the last 3 seasons because Jokic was the same guy. So if Jokic last season, you thought Giannis was better than that last season, I don't understand where you put in the context, you know what, Giannis just having a down year, he's hurt, and that explains why he's not as dominant as he was before. He should bounce back next season, perform better. He's still the best player in the world for me, definitively or comfortably.
Well, I have
to like it was last season.
I have to see him do that thing, dog.
Yeah, Lo just looks at it differently. Like, I can understand when Steph Curry has a shooting slump that he hasn't just gotten worse as a basketball player. Lo has to see him get out of the slump to believe that, you know what, Steph Curry, maybe he's just forgotten how to shoot and he will never get it back. Me, I'm like, I know he's going to get it back, so I'm not going to move him down the list.
Yeah.
So that's where then
how did you feel about 2022 Steph? The regular season, that was
top 3 player in the NBA.
What I'm saying is for 2022 Steph, for him, that was a shooting slump year. That wasn't just a stretch.
I never moved him down.
No. But what I'm saying is, if you feel like at what point did you feel like, okay, Steph is now back to who Steph normally is? Not saying that it altered. You're saying that you're saying that you're willing to give the benefit of the doubt. What I'm saying is, how many years or how long do you have to go before you just start accepting that? Matter of fact, I think a better question is actually Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I think by many people gets the benefit of the doubt, but how many years for you do you have to wait till you get to that point before you stop giving him the benefit of the doubt?
I think it gets to a point of A, when you show you what you've done previously, and B, when it, like with Steph Curry is the example. The look Steph Curry was getting hadn't changed. He wasn't struggling to create separation. He wasn't getting open off the ball. He was just missing his good looks.
Yeah,
the difference with KD is KD can't generate the same looks he did a few years ago due to his lack of acceleration, no rim pressure, and also the fact that he never really put on strength and his handle was always suspect. So those type of things, his flaws have become more
egregious
because of the fact that he has lost the acceleration. So it's easier to notice that this isn't just KD having a down stretch. This is who KD is. Whereas with Steph Curry is getting the same looks he was getting, and he's just not making them. And I think that applies to Giannis. I think Giannis was getting the looks he gets from mid-range that he was making at 42% last year. And I was like, oh, Giannis has improved from mid-range. Turns out Giannis had an up year in 2021 or whatever, where he was like 42%. And that's not who he really is, because every other year surrounding that would show me that that's an outlier. And I'm going to trust the
norm.
Yes, more than the outlier season.
And so
that's why I've adjusted with Giannis.
So that's my thing to Dub, where it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I can give Giannis the benefit of the doubt of injuries, but if we get further and further removed from 2021 and the 40% mid-range shooter that he was then, if I don't see that again, then I have to just acknowledge that 2021 was probably just the outlier, and the 35% mid-range shooter is probably just who he normally is.
I'd say just give it another year, because you asked me the question. I think you should give somebody at least a consecutive year. If they do it in back-to-back season, like Steph, for example. If he had back-to-back seasons shooting like that, then we're like, oh man, maybe Steph is losing his Steph.
Yeah,
he didn't.
I'd still have to give that nigga another year. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie. Steph could shoot 38% for like 3 years, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just a long slump. But my second question,
it's just a long slump.
It's just a long slump. I don't even want to do
82-game slump.
Yeah, exactly. But my second question with Giannis is, let's assume his mid range doesn't get back to the 42%. I don't think that's who he is. I think he's this bad of a shooter. If he is that bad of a shooter, but his defense gets back to his 2022 levels and he's still the same dominant rim pressure, blah, blah, blah. So offensively, he's basically the same, but can't shoot. Is he then the best player in the world, or does he need the mid-range to be the best player in the world?
The mid-range is what was put it over the top for me, if anything else. Defensively, it could have been. And again, I was also giving him a break defensively, not this past season, but the year before that, because Brook Lopez wasn't there. So I was giving him a break on that regard as well, because maybe I was like, maybe he just passed a pick up a lot more defensively.
Avery in the chat. 36 minutes and 45 seconds of Low Nose episode 3 in February. Low said Giannis was clearly the best player in the league.
Uh-oh. Let me see.
Let's see.
Let's see. Wait.
This is why I put the glasses off, man. I can't do it anymore, bro.
It's over.
He's cooked.
Right? All right, let me check if the voice is on. And 36, 40.
Go to 36-40. Go to 36-40.
I got it.
There you go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Jamal Murray played great last night.
That's how I saw it.
But now that Giannis is back,
Giannis is back.
Giannis is very clearly the best player.
Giannis to me is the best player in the league. Okay, I actually had.
All right, so as you, I want to be clear. Again, this argument about winning bias. When have I ever said because the Bucks are the number 1 seed, that's the reason why Giannis is the best player? It has always been contingent on who he is as a player and what he does, right? Every single chat, I want to be clear. Every single time they keep bringing up evidence, it has been consistently about who he is as a player and what he does on the floor. It's not about wins or losses.
I'm focusing more on the fact that you've been acting like you've been calling it interchangeable.
Yeah, you got exposed.
I think that's more of the reason. That is more of the reason.
Like I've genuinely been calling it interchangeable.
It was interchangeable because it looked as if like he wasn't healthy.